Welcome back to What Would You Ask podcast. My next guest, and I'm really excited that she joined us today, one of the members of The Apprentice, as we start our new series, and we're excited about it. We had Bowie Hogg on yesterday, and we had Heidi Bressler on yesterday, and we've got Bill coming on next week. So we got a lot of people. We're going to jump over to season 3. And my next guest is, we can sit here all day and just talk about her accomplishments. Successful entrepreneur. She's been an author. She's, she's a sought after public speaker. She's a proven leader. They're dragging her into politics every 4 years. And we'll talk about that later. And she's getting it done there too. It's like, you got to bring in the A people. She's one of those, right? She's created her very impressive brand of the things that she can do. And here's the other thing I want to mention before we introduce her formally. She's likable. And I want to talk specifically to my Northeast, maybe New York City metropolitan people. You got to be likable, guys and gals. She is likable. People buy from people, but they don't only just buy from people. They buy from people they want to be around with, they want to interact with. She's one of them. When you leave her, you go, oh, where's she going? She's going to the post. I'll take a ride with you. You know what I mean? She's that way. And that's I think part of her success. And we're going to talk to Tana about that. But today we're here to talk at least a little bit about The Apprentice season 3. She was the runner up to Kendra. No offense. I thought she won. And Kendra, still please come on the show. But anyway, Tanya Goertz, welcome to What Would You Ask podcast. I'm glad you're here. I said Tanya. Tana. What did I? Hey guys, who just said that in my ear? It's Tana Goertz. Welcome to What Would You Ask podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start. I want to really start with where were you at the time? Idaho?
I live in Idaho. No, I'm screwing up. Yep. I live in Iowa. I'm in Idaho, but yes, I live in Iowa.
And you grew up in Idaho?
No, I didn't grow up in Iowa. I grew up back east in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
So, so I'm an East Coast gal.
So where did you come up with, in season 3, it's still infancy, although the show's blown up by now, right? People know what it is. I was talking to Heidi and yesterday, and she's like, yeah, we had no kind of, playing card to take a look at. Like, what did they do the year before? They were early on. But you guys are still early in the process. How did you figure out, or what inspired you, better question, and motivated you to try out for The Apprentice?
Well, I'd watched season 1 and I was like, oh my gosh, I could totally do that. And I thought, well, I let my mind start playing tricks on me going, well, you're a mother, your children are small, 6 and 9. Like, how the heck would you leave your children to go compete on a reality show? So I talked myself out of it for just a second. And then I went, oh my gosh, I want to prove that I am one of the best in my industry, which was sales. And so really it was a competitive streak inside of me that says, I want to go kick butt on the #1 rated reality television show with America's business icon, Donald Trump. And I felt like if he would cast me or pick me to go on the show, then I would validate that I am one of the best and the brightest that America has to offer. And so it was just a competitive streak, but also sort of a little validation that, hey, you know what? Even though you didn't finish college and you got off course because you liked making money more, you still have what it takes to compete on this show. And I'm really glad I did.
Tell us a little bit about the audition process. Are you doing videos? Are you doing live presentations? Tell us a little bit about what it took to get on The Apprentice.
Oh, wow. It took a lot. It's not like in today's day and age, you could just do a Zoom call or send over a photo or say, hey, check out my Instagram page. Boom, that's done. Back in my day, it was like the old school way where I literally had to send them a VHS tape of me. They had to put it in this thing that was called a DVD player. They put in my video, and then Mark Burnett's producers watched through over 1 million applicants. And there was something about mine that they said, wow, find me that gal. And then from there, after I, got through the screening process from just the tapes, then they met me in a city nearby. It wasn't Des Moines, it was Omaha. And they interviewed me, just a personal one-on-one interview. And then from there, they said, kind of like this gal. Now let's see if she looks good on TV. Let's put the lights in the cameras and the microphone on her, shine the lights, and let's see if she can do it. And for some reason, they put the camera on me, and there was that magic. And I portrayed myself through the lights and the camera and onto the screen. And Burnett said, find me her. And then from that process, so now we're like 4 steps into the game. Then they flew me to LA with 50 other top contenders. So it went from like 1 million to 1,000 to 50. And then from the 50, they were going to pick 18 of us. And that was a really grueling process for somebody like myself, because I don't sit still. And they said, here's your hotel room, here's your key, we won't see you, but like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you'll get 1 hour interview with Burnett. And I'm like, what do I do for the rest of the time? And they're like, that's up to you. So I was going crazy, and I almost thought, I'm not signing up to be in sequester situations. I want to go meet Trump.
Right.
But I stuck it out, and Burnett saw something in me, and he said, I'm going to cast you as that mother, that woman, that kick-ass, competitive female who is alpha female and takes no prisoners and is fearless. And that's what I'm going to cast you as. And that's what I went. And I went and did all that.
So how long, give us a little bit of the time frame, and you went to the end. So are you in New York for a month? What's the time frame you're there?
So if you get fired, you are in New York till the very last person leaves, which I didn't know that. Gosh, I mean, that's, so the guy that got fired, the first task, literally was sitting in a hotel or suite on Mark Burnett's dime, going to shows, going out to eat, drinking bourbon, having the time of his life, while I'm like over here getting no sleep, kicking butt. So it was 62 days total. Wow. From when I got there and when I got home, and I never saw my family once.
Wow, that is amazing. So you had a pretty impressive group of folks that you were, I mean, like most seasons, they're talented growth, a very diverse group of people. Are you sizing them up? I can tell from your competitive spirit and business, lessons and stuff. You're all about that. So when you walk in the first day, you're in the boardroom with everybody. I mean, right? You're kind of early on when you're doing your pre-stuff. Bowie and Heidi and others have told us that you're in a hotel, but you're not allowed to talk to each other, right? Is that kind of still the thing? So you haven't even talked to most of your, should be all of your counterparts as you walk into the boardroom even, right? You're just
when we walked into the Trump Tower for the first time, and it was like we were all cast.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
when we could start talking.
Yeah.
But I wasn't about talking. I was about like looking at the beautiful place and going, "Oh my God, this kitchen!" And then I was the last one to actually find a bed. And I was going to have to actually. This is how Mark Burnett is so smart. He strategically. There was 8 people. There was, how many did I say? 18 of us. So there was 9 people on each team. However, there was only 8 beds. And I was the first person through the door of Trump Tower, the suite. Oh, looking at everything. And as everybody's like running around picking their room like a bunch of scavengers. And when I got done, oohing and on over the gorgeous kitchen and the Sub-Zero, refrigerator, I went, oh crap, there's not a bed for me. What am I going to do? And there was an air mattress. And I'm like, you idiot, you already screwed the first task up. Like, you were the idiot that got the air mattress, you dummy. And I thought, oh, that's a mind screw from Burnett. And look at this, it worked. But by the grace of God, one of my buddies who ended up being one of my best friends, Chris Shelton, he was such a gentleman that he said, Tana, I can't have you, a lady, sleeping on an air mattress. My mother taught me better. I will take the air mattress. You can have my room. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Wow. And his room was with who ended up being my roommate and my best friend. His name was Craig. And we were roommates all because of Chris. But the first mind screw, I failed that task. I thought so. Chris saved me on that one, but.
And Craig ends up being what, 3rd place, I think, too, right? So he was with you the whole.
Craig was the last man standing.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So tell us a little bit about, now you've you've walked in, you've met, everybody that's going to be on the show. Do you have any preconceived, after the first week, the first task, are you thinking, okay, these 3, 4, 2 are my competition? I know you going in, I can tell your personality, who's going to win.
Oh yeah, well, I know who's going to be good and
Right.
I know who's weak, and it wasn't the first task. It was the first 5 seconds. I could tell who the alpha males were, who was going to be, the bitch, who was going to be the troublemaker, who was going to be the idiot. Yeah, absolutely. Body language is one of my skills and strengths. And so I most definitely could. And the minute I walked in and assessed everybody, I'm like, John Gafford, that guy is going to be a strong contender. I could just tell everything about John. He was a leader. He was good. Mm-hmm. He was the first person that I went, John is going to be competition for me.
Went out probably earlier than expected too, right? I mean, he went halfway through the group, but you might have thought he would be a Final Four kind of guy early on. I did. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, John is great. And John's a successful entrepreneur as we speak. So definitely. And really, there's so many pitfalls that you can fall in along the way that if you're not likable, like you had mentioned earlier, and if you're not diplomatic, and if you're not strategic, and I was never playing games. Like Kendra played strategically games, like I'll be the last person to be the project manager, where I'm like, hell no, I want to show the world what I'm capable of. I come out of the chute running, I'm like that racehorse. You can't hold me back. So I wasn't playing mind games, but strategically, I'm like, listen, do I really need to fight with her? No. Do I care what she thinks of me? No. Shut your mouth. Less is more. Where, John's just a really strong personality. And I did think he'd go further, but he just, asserts himself and wanted to be the leader a lot. And I can't remember why he ended up going, but I thought he'd be one of the last guys standing.
So let's look at the other side of the boardroom. On the other side of the table, there is Carolyn and George and Mr. Trump. Any initial impressions, taller, shorter, his hair is worse than I thought it would be, better, anything? You give us your feedback of that.
I walked into that first boardroom and I was like, wow, larger than life is all I can say. I'd seen him on TV, seen him in so many interviews. This is a man that as an entrepreneur, I was always like, I want to learn from him, had all of his books. So you read about him, you see him on TV, but then to be in that boardroom, he is just larger than life. His presence is very big, very bold, very, demanding, commanding. And I just was like, wow, all I could think of is, I'm just so grateful to be here because I want to take everything I can learn from this man, whatever it is, whether it's how he interacts with George and Carolyn or how he treats us or whatever it is, I'm going to just like be a sponge and absorb it all. But first impressions of him, larger than life. First impressions of George, tougher than nails. First impression of Carolyn, tough, no nonsense. And I knew that this wasn't going to be a cakewalk in the park, and this wasn't a vacation for me because I was leaving the man of my dreams, my two babies, 6 and 9, at home. And this wasn't play date for me. This was serious business, and I want to make the $250,000.
I'm sure it was a tip to you that you look at George and Carolyn on his sides, and as you mentioned, tough folks. That's kind of a tip, right? To say this is the kind of people he hires, right? No nonsense. Full game on all the time. I agree with you. Both of those in the first few seasons showed how tough they can be and how critical they were. They didn't hold back on opinions and direction, even when they were on site with you guys on task and stuff. I will tell you quickly, I was in front of the Waldorf Astoria probably in the mid 90s. And Mr. Trump came out of a limousine. And then, folks, if you're not in New York City, if you're in New York City, limousines moving around are like taxi cabs. It's not, in some other cities, it's like, wow, who's going to get out of that car? It's pouring down rain. And I go on to the front of the Waldorf just to get out of the rain. And all of a sudden, this limo goes about maybe 50 feet past the Waldorf because there's nowhere to pull over and double park. And someone gets out, they have an umbrella, and it's just the parting of people running, trying to get out of the rain on the street corner, on the sidewalk, that they just part. And there it is. He comes straight towards us as we were standing there, and it's Mr. Trump. And by the way, I don't know, it's just, you're right, the presence, because when he got on the thing and put his thing down, it was like, whoa, there he is.
Oh!
Yeah, exactly. That's right. With his red tie and he had a
just bold, man, a bold man. I love it.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about, I want to get your sense of early on, you're doing some tasks, you're getting some rewards. You are really, you mentioned some of the people you were sizing up. I'm sure people are looking at you going, wow, she's got, she's pretty darn good. You're very diverse in things you were doing. You were working with kids and you were working throughout the whole show. You've shown a lot of different, you can be a leader and make decisions. You worked as a team well, you delegated. It's a lot of qualities early on, even that you saw as people are developing, who they are to each other, right? They're not, you don't walk in and go, I know exactly who that person is, but you had some qualities. I think you were a front runner early. Is that a fair assessment? Would you make?
I would say yes, definitely. A lot of people, the contestants, the candidates, my friends, whatever, my teammates would say, you're really bold and you're very direct, which a lot of people in life I learned aren't. I'm a very direct person. What you see is what you get. I say what's on my mind. There's no BS. But I also can follow. I don't like to follow. I would never lie to you and say I like to follow Nick. But I can follow when I know somebody else is in taking the lead. So I'm like, listen, if you can lead, tell me what you want me to do. I'll succeed, execute, win, period. So they would say, you're interesting. You have many facets to you because you are very bold, yet you're a great leader, yet you can follow. And I think that in life, you have to be that way. Like in marriage, it's a give and take. I can't always be the one getting my way. I have to give. And so I just have always been the type of person that believes that, you can show your strengths when you need to, but let other people shine.
When you look back at your tasks, what's the one you just go, man, I kicked butt? I mean, you did. I would say we could talk about a lot of them. We have a lot to talk about, so we can't do that on this show. I'll have to have you back and we can peel out some more time. But tell us about the one you really thought, wow, I just knocked the ball out of the park.
Wow. I would have to say that two come to my mind. Mm-hmm. The first one is the when we had the mobile home, the RV part, or the Airstream trailer.
Yep.
Actor, we were casting people to be actresses and actors for, what was that task? Was that for Dove? No, the Dove one stunk. I hated that task. And I also can't stand Donnie Deutsch anymore. But what was the actor casting about where we had to go into the Airstream trailer? I can't remember it. It was very, very difficult.
Yeah.
But what I do remember is we would get, the team would get people into the Airstream and I would sell them on
mobile service. It was mobile. Wasn't it the mobile?
But what was the service? It wasn't Airstream we were doing the task for. It was early on. I remember that. And Mickey Moto was the reward. And that was
Mickey Moto was reward. I don't remember.
I was the project manager and I loved it. But gosh, for the life of
was it for Visa? No.
No, I didn't do one for Visa. It was like fourth. I think it was the fourth task. So the first one was Burger King. What was the second one? The second one, Brian fired himself. That was, oh God, that was a horrible one.
That was the motel. That was
hated that one. The motel.
Yeah.
The third one might have been Nescafe, and that was okay. But I almost don't remember.
Then the soap. Dove was the fourth one.
Yeah, Dove was the fourth. I hated the soap one.
Yeah.
As I said already, the cucumber, that got a little bit risque.
Yeah.
I'm glad Bren thought of that and not me.
Yeah.
But anyways, I remember that they would send the people in, and I decided, like in life, I always like to make people have to audition for stuff. Like when I have competitions or I do promotions for businesses, I don't just like go online and go looking for 20 people. I'm like, hey, guess what? You'll be lucky to win this. Yeah. So come and cast for this position. And so I make people show me who you are, like put the camera on you and see if you fizz out, if you blow it, if you choke. I don't want to work with you. If you are a superstar and you have that it factor, oh my gosh. And I think it's exciting. And so I was really excited to get these people to convince them to do whatever the task was that's so memorable, I forgot. But I do remember that the reward was Mickey Moto gave us like $30,000 to split amongst the team. And we got to choose between some earrings, some cufflinks, or a necklace. And I really wanted those pearl earrings so bad. But my husband is a meteorologist on TV and he wears dress shirts every single day, French cuff. And I'm like, when could I ever, or when would he ever buy himself like $3,000 cufflinks? I'm going to buy them for him as my gift.
Wow.
And so that was my favorite reward, was getting the cufflinks for my husband and then saving them for 6 months until the show aired. And then when it was airing, he goes, babe, you never showed me the necklace or the earring that you got. And I'm like, that's because I got these for you.
Oh, that's so cool.
And he was like crying, and it was so
that's so cool.
awesome.
Well, that just takes away the next question, which was the rewards. I want to ask a couple of questions or comments from the viewers and listeners. Let's go to Peter in Staten Island. How about, we're not going too far. Peter wanted to get your thoughts on the guys going to the guy's apartment to get the tickets and having to deal with the dogs. Did they really do what they did on your leg? I mean, I know what he's talking about now.
Yeah, they peed on my leg.
Yeah.
That was a trip. That was a weird situation. I can't believe the producers actually let us go in to this, and that's just how fearless we were. And I was. It's like, man, I need to get this. I need to get it done now. You can't tell me no. And if I got to show up while you're in your pajamas to get what I need, I'll do it. And that's what I did. And we got the tickets. The house stunk really bad, was filthy, which is so weird. You think successful people would have a clean house. It wouldn't smell like urine, but it did. And then I ended up smelling like urine.
Well, you were standing there and you're going, I think that you were like, I was worried about the dog ripping my pantyhose, right? Because the dogs kept jumping up on you. And it wasn't, there were giant dogs. There were just nippy dogs that were all over the place. It was very, very, very creepy. But Peter, I want to mention, Peter says at the end, been following you post Apprentice, and congratulations on all your success. So there you go from Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Also, the other one I have to mention this, since we're talking about some of the funny things, the Little John thing, where you were just, you were in the groove with him, and then Carolyn mentions it later on. Is so
Carolyn had never seen.
We'd be talking, and you were just.
She thought I was crazy. I'm like, first off, yes, I am a mother. Yes, I look sweet and demure. But no, I listen to rap music. I love Little John. I get down to get low. I mean, that was just me. I wasn't like trying to be like a rapper. That's how I would talk to my kids.
No, I think it was I think it was a shock. That's all. I think she was shocked. I don't think she was criticized. That's how I felt. I was like, we know you have all these facets of who you are, but who knew you would appreciate rap, right? I just didn't.
Oh my gosh. So his business manager liked me because she could tell my enthusiasm for him while we were in the waiting area to meet him. And I just loved the guy. I was like, oh my God, I love his music. He's so cool. I wasn't like geeking out and being like a fangirl or anything stupid and stocky like that. But I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And Craig, my buddy, he was excited about meeting the East Street Boys. I didn't know anything about them. I just like Little John. Right. And so the business manager could see that this mom really likes his music. So she gave me her card. And like 5 years after the show aired, I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I'm coming to New York. I was going to see if maybe I could meet up with Little John and go to one of his concerts. And she's like, anytime, you let me know. So we stayed in touch. I never did end up making it there because I had a speaking engagement. So, but I'm a true apprentice always hangs on to their resources. And that's a resource I still have.
Tell us a little bit about Kendra and you in the finals. Tell us about what you think you did well, she did well, and tell us your opinion of the outcome.
Well, okay. So Kendra is a lovely lady, and she always was, and she always will be. So Kendra and I were very different. It was like apples and oranges. She was young. I was old. She flew under the radar. I flew over top of the radar. I was the radar. I was the Doppler radar. And so we were very different in personalities. We were very different in where we were in life. And so I just always put myself out there and thought, if I have the skill set to win this task, I'm going to take the reins and throw my neck out on the line and put myself out there and offer to be the project manager. So I was the project manager, I think, the most in my season, and she was the project manager the least. So that's just, the difference in personalities. Mm-hmm. We definitely had different approaches to things. She was very nice. We got along very well. I was happy to be in the finals with her. I would have bet my life I would have won it. But at the end of the day, I didn't have a college degree and Kendra did. And so Kendra finished the race of life. What life says is, you're a successful person. And I believed in the concept that a book smarts person or a street smarts person could win it. And I just think when it came down to it, I don't think Donald Trump made the decision on who won that season. I think it was Mark Burnett. And to keep the show on a higher echelon of a status, I believe that she was chosen because of her degree. And I think our tasks were totally different in enormity. Mine was, manage 55 Olympian athletes, put on these huge 4 tasks, gymnastics, swimming meet, track and field, all that. And she had a bunch of gamers doing that. So, I thought Mark's setting me up to fail, but I'll never, ever let him see me quit or fail or stumble.
Interesting. So I think, that's 15 plus years ago, right? I think because it's disappointing to hear that, because I assume that would be part of it too, right? We saw it with Kwame and Troy in season 1, right? Troy's the guy that doesn't have the degree, but man, did he kick butt on
Yes.
a lot of the tasks. And Kwame, no offense to Kwame, I think he had Harvard degree and stuff. And look, Bill was going to win that season anyway. If you watch season 1, Bill was from soup to nuts. I thought beginning to end, he was the most consistent and deserving.
Yes.
But I thought Troy should have been up there, and
Absolutely.
Instead. And if that was, I'm not sure that would work anymore. A lot of these, you look at the Fortune 1000s today that are actually, and by the way, I'm not telling anyone to quit school and not go to college. It's very important to further your education. And in our Shark Tank episode, there's a Mark Cuban part where he talks about knowing what you learn in college about, economics and about math and things like that you do use in business today is really important. So I'm for college, but I don't think it should ever be a strike against you that people make the choice. You make the choice to go and build a business and go in that route and doing that thing. Others, I know a friend of mine that left college, very, very bright guy who's killing it today in his industry, left because his mother was sick. And literally left college and spent a year with her, and because his dad was no longer with the family, and committed himself to doing that, and never went back to school because at the time he was building a brand, and it ended up taking over, and still today. So
that's honorable.
Yeah.
That's honorable. Where somebody like me, I was bright, I was gifted, I was talented. I should have stayed in school, but I got a little taste of making money. And I was like, gosh, what's school going to get me? I wanted to be an audiologist. Okay, so I'm going to listen to old people giving me the thumbs up if they can hear and thumbs down if they can't. I'll make $80,000 a year, or I can step on stage and make $80,000 in 8 days if I get 8 speaking engagements. So I was doing the math going, I'm not in it for the right reasons. And so I peeled out. So your friend that you just described, that's honorable. And I'm a big advocate because not finishing college when I was this close is my biggest regret in life. So I have 2 children and they both graduated college. My son graduated with an entrepreneur project management degree. And right now he's being a project manager for a concrete company, breaking his back every single day. Did he need a college degree? No, but that degree did help him problem solve and be a better leader in his industry. Now I have a daughter who's also talented and gifted in science and math like I was, and she's going to graduate school for chemistry. And I'm like elevating that like, oh, that's amazing. And she's going to hopefully go be a professor. And so that's what she wants. And so I wanted that for my children because I didn't finish the race. And I'm really glad that they did, and they're excelling in that, but it isn't for everybody. And I'm a big advocate of that.
So I want to talk about the lessons that you learned from The Apprentice, if any. I don't want to assume that you did, but the Apprentice goes to Kendra. As I told you before in some of the surveys we've done, people can't believe that you didn't win it. But again, that's not taking anything away from Kendra. 2 different folks. You got it. Street smart, book smart, kind of risk taker to kind of under the radar approach. And that's not a bad thing either, by the way, if you want to take that route. But tell us a little bit about what you learned about yourself during The Apprentice.
Wow, I learned a lot. I mean, I have a whole presentation called Lessons Learned from the Boardroom that I actually talk to business schools and colleges and universities about how to not have these same pitfalls and to learn, from the lessons that I learned. And you don't have to go on a reality TV show and be away from your family and kick butt for 62 days and get yourself sick when it's over. But the lessons, I learned that I'm really tough, and I learned that I have a will that cannot be broken. And I also knew, but I learned that other people's opinion of me doesn't affect my opinion of myself or me winning and succeeding and executing the plan that I have in front of me. So really, I learned I'm tough. And I learned that at any age, you can achieve any dream that you have. And that's a whole nother presentation that I give to people that are a little bit older in life. That it doesn't matter if you're an older woman like I was competing on the show with young children, we still all have dreams. And we still all have that competitive spirit somewhere. Mine just happens to be like right here, ready to burst out every day. I want to experience and strengthen that muscle. But a lot of people go, I haven't exercised that muscle for 40 years. I don't have it anymore. And so I really just learned, that's personally what I learned about myself. But lessons that I share with audiences across the country is never point out your weaknesses. I remember on one of the tasks, one of the candidates was like, oh my gosh, now we have to go in there and give a presentation. Like, I suck at public speaking. So I went ding, 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 ding. When it's time to have a public speaker, even though that's what I do, good. I'm gonna send him in because he's gonna blow it and choke. And lo and behold, if he hadn't told me he stunk at that, I wouldn't have him go out and go blah, 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 and stumble. And then the executives go, who is this guy? Like, my God, they needed to send somebody else like Tana out there to do the job. Well, he just blew himself up. Don't tell me what you suck at. Tell me what you're good at.
Yeah, you're right on there. I mean, by the way, you mentioned what other people think about you. My father used to drum in my head, what people think about you is none of your business. He used to say that to me all the time. Like, just go lead your life, do your thing, do it under the morals and values that we raised you in, which are correct and to be good. And right. And he always used to say, people choose to be bad or good, right? It's a choice. So you have that opportunity, but other people's opinion is just not your business, and you're not going to change it. So just roll with it. And, I thought that was a pretty good bit of advice. Anything about Mr. Trump? Tell us a little bit more about your relationship. There was obviously a connection. You can see that in your interactions, right? I don't want to say dismissive. It's not the right word to some folks, but he doesn't pay attention to some people at all. Like they're not part of it. He would ask you your opinion a lot in the boardroom. You get your feedback. What do you think about that, Tana?
You're 100% right. Trump is the type of man that if he knows you don't have the it factor or have a lot going on between the two eyeballs, he doesn't have time for you. So that's very accurate, very good assessment of him. We did have a connection. We're like-minded. We're very much alike. I could see him looking at me sometimes and he gave me that look like, you are going for it, man. Like, you are a mother kicking ass in a young person's competitive world. And I could see the admiration in him. And he should have had it, because you know what? In life, a lot of mothers just go, I'm a mother. I'm supposed to be a nurturer. I'm supposed to, stay home and bake banana bread. And that's great. I do stay home and bake banana bread in my high heels and kick people where they need to be kicked when they need to be kicked. So I could just tell that he appreciated my spirit, my spunk, and my directness. And he'd ask me, what do you think? And I'd be like, she absolutely doesn't have it. There's no way she could ever be your apprentice. She can't even do math. And this isn't the place she needs to be. And he'd be like, appreciate that. Or what do you think of him? And I'm like, well, I don't think he's got what it takes. And well, why not? Well, he drinks a lot at night. You know what? And so, he just appreciates honesty, and he also appreciates loyalty. And I was loyal to the people that deserved to be loyal to, and he could see that. But we were very much alike, and he could tell that I had that street fighter instinct. And I don't lay down, and I don't get walked all over. I mean, I had previously in my life, and that's not who I am anymore. So he just liked that I had guts and grit, and I was going for it.
That's really cool to hear. We are speaking with Tana Goertz and from Apprentice season number 3. And I got to tell you, in my interactions with Tana before we get her on the air, what you see is what you get, folks. Every email she ends with, I'm fired up. You could just tell, you read the email and I wanted to go play football. I mean, she'd get you going, right? I mean, that's why she's the executive coach, and she's an author, and she's a public speaker, because that energy is part of it, right? And I just want to mention, head to heytana.com apprentice.com and check out check out all the stuff. I mean, what she's doing, it's inspiring, it's motivating, it's educational, and you should check it out. I just want you to know that. Tana, take us a little bit through that relationship continued post Trump. And we'll start there. I want to talk about a little bit about what you're doing today, but take us through where that relationship's developed and how it's maturated over the many, many years, even till right now.
That's a great question. Thanks for asking it. One thing really sticks to my mind right after The Apprentice. We had an opportunity to, the runner-up, myself, had an opportunity to sit down with our apprentice psychologist if we were, stressed out, or if we thought our life was going to end, or if we were going to, jump off of a bridge because we didn't win or something like that. And so I met with the psychologist for just a second, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I'm totally good. Hey, I wanted to win for one reason and one reason only, and that was to learn from America's business icon. I wanted the money. I'm going to go home and go back to my life. Totally good. 5 minutes interview. So she goes, hey, I want to just ask you a few questions. Like, is this going to be the end all be all? Like, you're going to go down in history as being the runner up on The Apprentice? And I'm like, oh God, no, honey, that was just a stepping stone. Like, I'm just getting started. And so fast forward, like 6 months later, she wrote a book, and she wrote about me in one of her chapters. And that was, she said, I was really impressed with Tana because she never rested on her laurels, that she was the runner up on this show that got 41 million views every single Thursday night. She was on the show for 18 weeks. This was just a stepping stone. Like, that was very refreshing for her to hear. And I thought, interesting. Why wouldn't it be? I know some people sat back and waited for opportunities to come, but I got home from The Apprentice after I did my media blitz tour. I had 77 job offers. I literally started, back in the day, we had that thing called home phone, and I hit voice messages, and I had a legal pad of paper, and the first job was the Bedazzler contract and shooting an infomercial. And I wrote down the 77 jobs, and I just went through them all, and I was like, I'm on fire. And that's kind of like where I'm at today. So, I just always was the type of person that, yes, it was a great success. And I've had a lot of great successes along my way, but it's just a stepping stone to the next thing. And the next thing for me has always been, I want to inspire other people because I know what my gifts are. And as you mentioned, my gift is high energy, enthusiasm. I want to be everybody's hype girl. I had the privilege of being Donald Trump's hype girl on the political campaign, and we'll talk about that in a second. But how my relationship with Donald Trump went from Mr. Trump in the boardroom to President Trump was, I came home, and after getting those 77 job offers, every news outlet and every media outlet wanted to interview me, because in Iowa, we don't have real celebrities because we don't have national football teams and basketball. We're a small state. So I was a big fish in a small pond, and everybody wanted to interview me. And I kept saying, thank you for what I learned to Donald Trump. Thank you. I learned so much. And out of nowhere in the mail would come the interview that I would do, and say, like the Des Moines Register, Donald Trump would have printed it out and wrote, thanks, Tana, you're great, Donald Trump, and send it to me. And I was like, how's he watching me? But he appreciated that I was giving him thanks for the lessons that I learned that I could go apply to my presentations and make money and inspire others. So I stayed in touch with him. A lot of people don't know this is, a true apprentice just doesn't just go, hey, that was awesome. I was in Donald Trump's penthouse with Melania Trump, and, no big deal, having breakfast at their kitchen table. I went, ching, ching, there's that little business card. I'm going to use it. Right. So anytime I'd hear Donald Trump's coming to Iowa for this presentation where he's going to make, I don't know, $100 million, just kidding, a lot of money to step on stage, I'm like emailing Rona, the secretary, going, hey, he's coming to my neck of the woods. I'd love to go. There I be. And then we'd see each other, and he'd be like, I remember you. So it wasn't like overnight he went, ding, Tana. I had kept in touch. You keep your face out in front of somebody who you want to stay in touch with. And then he said, at the end of the day, the only way you're going to be the president of the United States is to win the state of Iowa. Who knew that was the state where it all gets done and happens at? Well, I found out that, I knew he was a smart man, but the reality is Donald Trump knew Everyone in Iowa, majority of them do, associate me with him, okay, because of the show. And every interview he ever read that I gave was talking about him in a positive light. And he knew I was one hell of a saleswoman. So he went, ding, I got it. Tana, great saleswoman, sell me product to the people of Iowa. If she does a good job, then she goes to all the states. There it is. That's how it happened.
Wow. And I saw a picture of you. Was it in the Oval Office on your website or something?
Oh, that was such a great day.
Who gets
it goes
that?
down. It goes down as literally one of the top 5 days of my life. Marrying the man of my dreams, Curtis, having my 2 children, and I can't remember what the other one was, but I know it was amazing. And then going into the Oval Office and him saying, "Come here behind the desk. Because of you, I'm here." And getting that picture was just like, look at where I've come. Look at how life is. This man who I learned so much from. I don't want to say I used him. I learned so much, benefited so much off of this man and his brand. I then assimilated that and used the good to help my brand, which is love, light, positivity, high energy, success, winning, execution, all that good, nothing mean or ugly or dirty or negative, and assimilated the two. And then any opportunity that I got from him, meaning be his original hype girl or be a senior advisor or be a Trump team coordinator, I always said, yes, this is a dirty, evil business, but I love the product and still do. And 2, I love people. So instead of me standing up on stage, and you can't find, and you could go through 2,000 interviews that I've done in 2016. I've been on every media outlet. I've been on every national network, cable TV station. You won't find one clip of me saying, Hillary Clinton is this, and this, ugly, mean, and nasty. Because that's not my brand. That's not who I am. I would say Donald Trump is this, and this. And so it worked out that, when I got to show the world who I am through this position that he gave me, I showed the world that we can love, we can be good to one another, we can help one another, and nobody in politics was helping anybody. But I thought, if I can show Donald Trump, that wounded warrior who's got a double amputee, who is fighting for a surgery, show Donald Trump that person, Donald Trump will help that person. And he did. And it was like a really great thing that I was able to be weaved in and do a lot of good and get our president elected.
That's awesome. That's a great story. I want to ask you about a couple more questions and I'll let you go. I really do appreciate your time.
No, thank you.
Is risk required to be successful? I asked it because of this. There's so many times in your lives where taking the low road and the less risky road, you still could have some success. It just seems like a lot of your success was, I'll try that, or I'm not afraid to put myself out there. If you fail bringing Iowa in, it's kind of, that's a big deal. Not a big deal to the state, the big deal to the world in some cases.
Right.
Come on. Is risk required to be successful?
It is. You know what? I try to tell people, I've seen so many people that are so afraid to fail. And I really think that comes from the way you were raised, or, I'm a perfectionist, but I'm not like going to beat myself up if I say, oh, I shouldn't have said that word instead of that word. Like, no, like life is short. Put it all out there and just throw it out. You got to risk. But a lot of people play it safe. And I don't like people that play it safe. I don't associate with people that play it safe. I've taught my children, you go in, guns a-blazing, man, you go for it, all in, put all your chips on the table. And absolutely, I could have said, I'll just do Iowa like real simple and real mellow and just do it the way the political operatives do it, boring, and make people fall asleep. And yeah, maybe we'll win. by 1%, not 10% like we did, and, play it safe, have all the Republican Party love me and think I'm just a sweet little girl or woman. Or I can come in guns a-blazing and throw up sticks of dynamite and go, we're wrapping a sprint car, we're getting a bus, we're doing this, we're getting helicopter rides. Like, we are a freaking tornado. And people go, whoa, where did she come from? I'll tell you where I came from. I came from a lot of places. I'm thinking my mother's womb, The Apprentice, Donald Trump's, I came from a lot of places, but I never come in. You always know when I'm coming in. That's for sure. Great. And so I met Mike Rowe and he goes, I'm going to tell you what you are. You're the Tana tornado. And I
like
thought,
that.
I do too. I'm like, that kind of has a ring because I'm married to a meteorologist and we live in Tornado Alley. But you have to take risks. If you don't take risks, you're just going to be subpar. You're going to be vanilla. And I'd rather be pistachio nut with a little bubble gum on the top.
That's really good. I really want everybody to understand what you're doing today. You're focused on the politics, which, by the way, you're not a politico. You would call you that over the last few years, but that's not really your focus, right? Tell everybody about that.
No, it's not my focus. It never was an interest, actually. I've never had a political bone in my body. My family weren't political people. We never talked about voting. I never cared about voting. I always thought my vote didn't matter. My voice didn't matter. I'm just one person. But I had a choice to make 5 years ago, actually. And that choice was, Tana, will you quit your 3 jobs, your public speaking career, your being a business coach, and your radio show that you love and you're really good at? Will you quit them all and come get me to be the president of the United States? And I'm like, oh, what? To work around those swampy, disgusting slime balls who have no spine? Oh, and then I went, give me a minute. So then I thought about it and I went, Donald Trump's the only one that could do this. He'd run the country like a business. Mm-hmm. I want to make history with this man. You know what? All chips in, bet the farm. I said, I'll do it. And I was really happy I did it. It was a whole somebody says, another notch in the belt or whatever. Like I care. Mm-hmm. My belt's got so many notches in it. It doesn't look like a belt anymore. But I thought, you know what? Yeah, because now that's a whole nother avenue that the world knows. I can call Donald Trump right now on my telephone. The world knows that I got another Trump card. So let's see what that brings. And that has brought so many different opportunities where now candidates who suck are actually going, how do I win when I suck? I got an idea. Maybe I go get that gal who puts sticks of dynamite and makes people look good and wins. Yeah. Well, no, you suck. And I can't ever sell you because you're no good. But, so other people want me because of that huge success. And I did it totally different. So that's what, I know I'm not a political, but I want to get back to inspiring people, loving people, seeing people, meeting people, inspiring people, and making people better so that eventually the world is better. And the best way I can do that is stepping on stages, coaching people, and radio, TV and radio. It's the best way to reach the masses.
That's awesome. Tana, I really appreciate your time today. We're going to have you back on because I got so much more to ask you. So I will be reaching out to you again. Where should everybody go to see what you're up to? I guess Hey Tana would be the place to start, right?
Hey Tana, HEYTANA.com, or I'm on social media like Instagram, Hey Tana, Twitter, Hey Tana, Facebook, Tana Goertz. I have a YouTube channel, Hey Tana TV. Anywhere. If you go to the website on the far right, it's got all my connect with me, email me there. And I'm just excited. Life is great. Every day you wake up, if you're not looking for opportunities, you're stupid. To be honest with you, if you're not looking for ways that you can get yourself out in front of people to tell them what you do, then you're missing out on a lot of opportunities.
We are at, what would you ask? We're all about people trying to focus on purpose-driven lives, purpose-driven careers and stuff like that. And you are very emblematic of that.
I appreciate that. And I also say, Nick, find your purpose or passion in life. If you can put that and make that your profession, then you have found
Gold.
your purpose.
Yeah.
So, the PPP, the P plus P equals P. And that's me. I found my purpose loving others. My passion, I love to sell and eat, that's my profession. And then, then the purpose is being able to, shine God's light, shine my light, and make the world better and brighter. So it's really cool. And I want to thank you for reaching out and being patient with me, because there's that list. I have, I think, 900 emails that I got to get to, and yours was in the queue. And I got, that's like I was saying, you don't rest on your laurels. I could get my next big break in life from this interview. And I didn't care if 10 people were watching or 10 million people were watching. You reached out and you were worthy of a response. And I couldn't be more grateful that you asked me.
Thanks, Tana. I'm going to ask you again, so I hope you feel the same way the second time. But
Yes.
Thanks for today. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks. We'll be back with more What Would You Ask podcast in a second.